Hey everybody, welcome to the Google session. In this session, we are going to talk to our alumni from S30 who are right now in Google. We have a very diverse set of ordinary individuals over here. Let me introduce them one by one. Firstly, Akshit. Akshit is going into Google after a lot of experience, 12, 13 years of experience. He has moved from Amazon to Google. Then we have Sahaj. Sahaj was a student from the very first batch of S30. Then he became an interviewer. Then he became an instructor also. He has a pretty normal journey for a typical S30 student. He was in MS. Then he went into Google. Brandon, extraordinary thing that he has done. He was not getting much of the calls. I don't know. I had written his story also on LinkedIn. The kind of story he has is incredible. Not many calls, few calls, yet he's at Google. Extraordinary thing is that he is a bachelor student, and bachelor students don't get many of the calls. And unlike most of the Googlers who are coming from the bachelors, he's not belonging to an Ivy League university. Then we have Raman. She has moved the mountains. She is sitting in India and she has cracked Google Canada. Not only that, she has cracked Facebook UK as well. All right. She has cracked Apple also. All right. So she has incredible achievements. She came as an intern in S30 as the first intern for data structure and algorithms. And then she learned a lot. Then she became an instructor at S30. And after that, I don't know, she has pretty much most of the offers. All right, that's a little bit of a brief overview of the kind of panel that we have. We have 4 Googlers: Raman, Sahaj, Akshat, and we have Brandon. All right, I'll be taking your questions, which will be there in the thread. But most of you guys, after initial few set of questions, I'll be opening it to everybody for you to ask questions. You can unmute your mic and you can ask anybody in the panel.
Hello, this.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, Jasmine.
Sorry, Aditya is also here. Aditya is also.
I just came in.
Welcome, Aditya. Aditya is another Googler. He is from S30 itself, and he is from Raj's batch, right? You're from Raj's batch, or you're from?
No, I'm from Soumya ma'am's batch.
Soumya's batch. All right.
Yep.
So, all right, let's start. We talk about firstly about the Google engineers. The first thing that I want to talk about is not your successes, but your failures. Before Google, everybody thinks that Googlers are you got Google into Google just without any hiccups or something like that. So one by one, if you want to talk about any failures you have, any interviews in which you failed before getting a success into Google. Brandon, you want to go ahead?
Yeah. So failures. Well, it's not really my fault, but I did go to not a top tier school. I went to like a state school in California. I went to Cal Poly Pomona. It's not really well known. It's not like something like San Jose State. That's pretty good. I wish I got into instead. It's closer to my house as well. But yeah, I'm not sure if it's really matters. But going to like a not well known school kind of hurts me, I guess, because I did not get any internships to begin with, even though I applied. Like my school wasn't even great at teaching like data structures and algorithms. So like that's probably like one thing. And so when I go into these interviews, like I don't really know what I'm doing until I join S30. So that's one of my failures. The other failure is that because I didn't join S30, I didn't really know how to interview. And one thing that I'm gonna preach to everyone, whoever I talk to, is to use a whiteboard. I still got my whiteboard back here when I interview. And so that's really like, I guess, like my weapon of choice.
Awesome. Sahaj, any company interview that you have a Google offer, any company interview that you didn't clear?
Yeah, like one of my worst interview experience was Citrix.
Okay, Citrix.
I just like Brandon said, I didn't have a whiteboard back then. Like I was at someone else's place. Worst experience, to be honest, like my first interview literally slept because I already knew the question.
You
So
already
always,
knew the question and that's why you failed, huh?
so I already knew the question and I explained it to him. He assumed it will take so long and he literally slept and I was like screaming, can I try run it now? So always have a whiteboard, keep things interesting. And in the same interview, my second failure was it was a 4 round interview.
Right.
So my third interview was a bit late.
Yeah.
So the interview got carried forward to the next round and I ended up being in such a rush
Right.
in my fourth round that I was coding without even understanding what the question was. Like my fourth round was just 20 minutes.
Right.
And I was rushing it so bad that even I knew, like I wanted to reject myself. So always keep a whiteboard and make sure you are interacting slowly with the person head so he or she knows what's in your mind at that point.
Right.
So that was what I learned from my Citrix interview experience.
Right. All right. Akshat, any struggles that you went through?
I failed like almost all the interviews. You name the company and I failed it. So I failed the Google interview. I couldn't clear the phone round first. Facebook as well. I couldn't clear the internship phone round and then the full-time phone round as well. Amazon as well. I didn't clear that. So there were interviews. I mean, there are like thousands of interviews that I have failed.
Right.
But I eventually ended up at Amazon somehow when I just graduated, did my master's. And now after 2 years, I didn't fail anything because I knew what I did wrong back then. So that's something I can tell, I mean, in the later part of the session. But yeah, I feel like every interview you can name off, you can name any company and I'll tell you what comes in that and how I failed in that. So yeah.
That's a pretty interesting, can you talk about, we will be getting into the technical stuff of it, that, okay, how Google asks, what kind of questions it asks, but can you talk about the human aspect of it? Because, when I'm talking to students, they have a lot of pressure about this thing that, okay, if they are failing into a couple of interviews, then their motivation level is totally down. How did you?
I think the pressure is real. I mean, it's not easy. You have so much. I mean, when you are in US, you are like, you're already burdened with like, you have loans and you have so much pressure. You're working somewhere. You don't want to study for the courses. You just want a job or an internship and you want a better internship. You will get an internship for sure in a startup or something, but you need a better internship. I mean, the pressure is real. I think though, for me personally, the best thing was my flatmates that I was living with. They actually got internships in Facebook, Google, and everything, and they were really motivating me that you will one day get it somewhere or the other. But I mean, I wanted to target like top 5 fans or any top 10 companies, and they were very helpful in this case. As they were able to clear these interviews, the pressure of not clearing something was not on my mind at that particular point of time, because I was interviewing like continuously with them, and S30 didn't born at that particular point of time. There was no S30.
Yeah. Yep.
It was like 3 years ago.
Yeah, 3 years ago.
Yeah.
We were just talking at that time.
Yeah. So there was no S30. So I think the pressure is real, but as you are coming from India, and if you have worked in India or if you have cleared any competitive exam, you know how to handle pressure. I don't think so anyone should have any problem specifically for students from India that are coming out and I mean going for the interviews, because in India the interviews are really, really hard as compared to what we have here. And
awesome.
And yeah, I mean, I won't even mince my word. The pressure is really real. People get frustrated. They do random stuff, but it's not just you. It's everyone. It's getting to everyone. But it's just how much time can you spend in this particular long race? It's just on you. You can spend like 6 months, or you can just spend like 1 week. It's just on you. Eventually, you will get a job. If you get even like a smaller job or a job in a smaller company, it doesn't mean that you're not good enough.
Right.
Try after 1 month, you will get it somehow.
Got it. That's amazing. So even if you are going not into the best of the companies, it doesn't mean that you are bad.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I have seen people working for startups, not even on H1B and stuff, and they are working like as an L5 engineers in Google now. So it's just about the time, and it totally depends on your luck, what is being asked to you, and if it can hit you at that particular point of time.
Right. Awesome. Aditya, can you talk about yours? How did you go about the preparation, and how did you go about these struggles, the human aspect? Then we'll come to the technical aspect of the thing. But
Yeah.
how did you?
Yeah. So what happened with me is like I am a non-CS background. I had some other technical, like I was in instrumentation control back in India in bachelor's, and then I had no experience basically. So I knew nothing about computer software like programming, Java, nothing. So I was like really under a lot of pressure because like the people around me had 3 years of experience, 4 years of experience, and like they were all very smart and they were all around me, and I was like, what should I do now? And I had no like background and stuff and no knowledge about it. So like one of my friends suggested S30, and I was like, let's take this course. We have nothing to lose, right? The worst thing will happen to me is like I'll have to go back to India, and I was because like I had no experience, nothing and stuff. So but when I joined S30 and when I was very persistent with it. You can still check my GitHub. I was like very persistent. I used to submit everything, and I was very interactive in class as well. So what I learned is persistence is the only thing that matters, and failures will come. Like similar to Sehaj, like for Citrix, I had the interview. So because my basics are not clear about computer like science, which is like OS and stuff, so I failed that interview because of that. So what exactly happened with me is like I had a 45-minute interview, and first 25 minutes they were grilling me on OS, and I knew nothing about it. And so I was like very, very dumb in it. And I was like, I don't know this. And when they came up to data structures, I cleared the code within like 7 minutes. And when I just ran the code, and they were shocked about it because I knew nothing about OS and I knew everything about data structure. And they were like, we know that you know a lot about problem solving and stuff, but we need someone in an internship that knows OS. And I was like, this is not done. Like you can ask me, I can read about it, I can learn about it, I can gain knowledge, but yeah, like I never knew that it would be something like that. And so the one thing that there will be interviews you will know nothing in it, and there will be interviews you know everything in it. But it doesn't matter that you fail or you like what happens with you next. But like even if you are so confident that you clear the interview and you get a reject, don't worry about it. Just keep interviewing, and I'm pretty sure that you will land up in a job where you deserve it. Simple as that. If you deserve Google one like today or after 3 years or after 5 years, you will land up in here or in any other company that you dream for. Simple as that. So keep interviewing. Don't get like demotivated a lot. There will be people who will be getting jobs around you, and you'll be like, he knows nothing and still he is in this company, that company. But don't worry about those people. Just keep interviewing. Just keep your focus and be like very calm about it. And yeah, you will be there.
Yeah.
Like, yep.
Success will come eventually. The next question is an excellent question by Harsh, and I want to ask this question to Raman because I know she was in a similar kind of situation. What Harsh asked Raman is that you had Apple offer, you were working with Apple, then you had an extraordinary offer from Facebook as well, right? Meta. Then how did you keep your motivation up that, okay, you want to even go better? If we say that, okay, after Facebook, Google is the next step. How did you keep yourself, sharp and target Google?
Okay, so before that, I would like to tell you that how even I thought of approaching the recruiter. It's like this time they didn't come up to me. I was the one who approached the recruiter. So basically, other than Google, I have interviewed with 6 companies, and I was able to perform well with that, and I got the offer. But last year, I also interviewed with Google, and I was able to crack till the hiring committee. So it was like hiring committee gave me one more chance, but I was not able to get the offer at that time because of maybe I was not able to perform up to the mark and something happened like that. So it was in March 2021. So at that time, my recruiter told me, though you perform well, but at this point of time, they were not able to give an offer. I was not able to get the offer. And then in October or November 2021, I got met a recruiter from Meta approached me and I had an interview with them and I was able to crack the offer, to crack the interview and grab the offer from there. But after that, because I had that in the back of my mind that I was not able to crack Google interview in March, and because I was very consistent, to be honest, for the whole year, I was giving interviews with many other companies and was very consistent. But I knew that I missed that chance at that time. And so I wanted to give it one more try because I thought that maybe now I'm prepared. I mean, I knew that now I'm prepared and I can give it a try. So what happened that my recruiter that was there in March, who knew me and who actually, she has actually shifted, she has actually moved from Google to some other company. I got to know that when I sent an email, she was not there. So I just randomly went to LinkedIn. I searched for recruiters of Google, and I basically searched for UK recruiters, to be honest, because I was already having Meta UK offer. So I just searched for their profiles and I just reached out to them by telling them the whole story that I actually had an interview in March and I wanted to give it a one more try. It was not like recruiters responded. I think I pinged maybe around 9 or 10 recruiters, and only 2 recruiters sent me a response. One of them, she just asked for my resume and didn't respond back, and the other one, actually what he did, he just checked my profile in March, like how I performed at that time, and then he said, okay, fine, we do believe that maybe you'll be able to perform good this you'll be able to perform good, because even at that time it was not like I had a very bad score. So he just continued with the process and just arranged one more time. This time I didn't have any screening round, I directly had the on-site round. So it was just because I had that in my mind that I missed it once because of a mistake, and I just wanted to give it a one more try. And that's how I just tried to connect with them, and I got the interview scheduled, and I again prepared and give it a try.
Awesome.
And it happened.
That's awesome. All right, let's come to the interview part of Google. All right. So how would you talk about your interview process, and how would you compare the difficulty level? This is open to all the Googlers. You just take your chance. What was the difficulty level, and how do you compare it to other companies like Meta or Amazon? What are the pointers specific to Google that you guys want to give? All right. Yeah, go ahead. Akshay?
Stop thinking about recursion. I didn't get asked a single question about recursion, not even DP. Stop thinking about it.
That's pretty specific. In fact, I was telling my students today that you do recursion for Google.
You do recursion. You should not think about it. You just try and do it. If you can do it, just go on. Just try to do like 500 problems, 2,000 problems. If you can't, it's perfectly fine. It doesn't mean you can't crack Google.
All right, that's great.
I had like 5 rounds, 10 questions, not even a single recursive question I had in those rounds.
What were the type of question that you were asked?
Everything was related to hash maps. Simple. Yeah. So if you can design, do like object-oriented programming and can design a system using your code, you can actually use data structure that they name the round data structure and algorithm and problem solving for some reason. That is because they want you to use that.
Right.
If you can use that, and if you know how to use them, then you are good.
Got it. Yes, Brendan, what about you? What were the type of problems that you were asked, and any pointer specific? Don't do recursion.
Say don't do recursion. I said
I'm just kidding. I'm just pulling her. I'm just pulling her. So that's a great point. That okay, if you don't know recursion, don't fret about it. Right? Don't. That goes for any of the techniques. If you don't know, you don't know. If you just focus on the other strengths, and it is a very, very common myth that Google is asking recursions on. So it's apparent from his experience, it's not the case. Brendan?
So my questions were, I had like a tree question. I had 2 like hash map questions, like designing something in an object-oriented way. So I had like 2 questions on those. Another question was the graphs. And yeah. So
no DP? No DP?
No, I did not. Surprisingly, no. I actually spent a lot of time studying, but surprisingly, no DP.
Right.
Uh,
Awesome.
yeah, I was
Yeah,
ready for it too. But
because
yeah,
this is a common. I tell my students that okay, Google DP, Google recursion. Probably I should be taking my opinions back. What about you, Saj? What were the kind of problems and techniques?
So unlike Akshit, recursion and DP were like the slam dunk of my interview. And thanks to S30, like it was a recursion question, and like it was a 3-part question. Like she explained me a simple question that how will you solve it? Don't code it out. A simple chessboard question, you have king has to reach the queen. Then she complicated it and she was like, how do you solve it? And thanks to S30, I just like did, okay, 2 minutes recursion done. Okay, she was like, okay. I think, sir, you're on mute.
I said don't mention the exact problem. So just mention
Yeah.
it. All right. Just
Like,
mention. Then she complicated it. It was recursion. Then the third part came.
then she was like, optimize it.
Okay.
Right. And I think she was also a new interviewer and she didn't have that much follow-ups ready. And I was like, okay, DP done. In 15 minutes, the question was done and she was like, okay.
And this
Okay,
was
then
this is one of the rounds, right? That was
this
recursion.
was my final round.
This was your final round.
This was my 5th round, and in 15 minutes it was like done. Then she added one more complexity, right? And like I was just okay, it's DP, add another if.
Right.
Done. And like by 20 minutes, she was like, do you have any follow-ups or we
Right.
can move up?
What about
Other,
the first 4 rounds? I understand the last
yeah.
one was DP plus
So
recursion. What was
behavior round? First was my behavior, so that's pretty basic. They give you scenarios and everything. My second round was the round that I would say was interesting because the interviewer, the first thing he said was, I don't care about time complexity. I don't care about space complexity. You can go to n raised to power n, just solve this problem.
Right.
That was my first question.
That was again a backtracking kind of problem.
No, that was mostly a logical problem. Like, how will you, like, it's a problem and you have to take the minimum number of guesses to solve the problem. So that was a very new kind of experience that I was allowed to use any time complexity, any technique, any if, recursion, DP, graph, whatever I can, just to have minimum number of tries in that problem.
Got it. What about any other techniques which dominated the other rounds? Any hashing?
The other two were just like Brandon, hash maps and design, object-oriented design. How can you store it? How can you optimize it? Bring it to O(1), bring it to priority queue. If you solve it early, they'll just follow up. They'll twist the question so much that it's very different to just see if you're flexible enough to think of multiple solutions at a time.
Got it. Yes. Aditya, what was your experience with?
It was like really nice. So I had 4 rounds, technical rounds. So 2 of them had this OOD design. So you have to like be very, very on point in that because like you have to design classes and stuff. So yeah, that one was a bit difficult one. In that we used hashing. I used hashing and one was like kind of sorting and stuff, but you have to like apply logical mind for that and then you have to design everything. And the other 2 were, one was try data structure. So I will tell you one story about it. So I just did a mistake in Google. So when the interview was there and I was telling him the brute force approach, after that I told him that I think I can solve this question by using try. So and the next line I said is, do you know what a try is? And he was like, I'll stop you here for a second. And then he was like, you are interviewing for Google and the ones taking your interview know every data structure that you know and above that as well. And now you can continue your thing. And I was like, I was so scared about it then that now I won't be able to crack it because like he is so pissed off me.
Yeah.
But it didn't matter at the end of the day. So I coded that approach as well. Like I completed the try thing in like 30 minutes and he was like very fascinated about it. And he was now, why did you use try over any other approach and stuff? And I was like, yeah, okay. So I got try question, 2 object-oriented design questions, and one was a string question. There is a technique called elimination as well, in which like eliminate some part of your question and then you go on with the other one and then the other one and then you land upon an answer, something like that.
Was that a stack
So-
one? Stack question?
Not really. It was a string question. I'll try to share the question with you, and you can like then teach similar kind of questions with similar kind of
We'll put
question
it
with students.
right.
Yeah,
Awesome.
but kind of that question, and it was something different which I was not taught on S30. So I was like not able to grab the approach in first place. So he told that now this is the time when I have to give you a hint. So after 7 or 8 minutes, he told me I'll give you one hint, and this is the first and the last hint you will get. And he said just one word, that this problem will require elimination. And I was like, is this a hint? And I was so confused about it, but then I like followed up with it. And after every like milestones, I was asking, am I right or am I wrong? Am I right or am I wrong? Then he guided me through, and I was able to complete the question like in 45 minutes. Yep. So
Awesome.
that was also a nice round. So yeah, I didn't get any DP or recursion questions, but I prepared them well. I was only afraid about one approach, which was backtracking. And for the last 7 days of Google, like when Google's interview was there, the last 7 days, I was preparing backtracking only. But I'll suggest don't do that. Prepare every other approach. And because I was very confident about all other approaches, so I was like focusing on backtracking. But yeah, so I'll suggest to prepare all the basic approaches as well, because they do ask those questions, like 2 hash maps, 1 string, and 1 elimination. I got.
Got it. So Raman, your interview, the first interview was with Google India or with Google Canada?
Was for Google India, and this time it was like open for me that I can choose any location and they'll search for teams. But last time it was only.
Do you see any contrast in the type of problems that they ask? In India, do they ask it's the same?
It's the same. Like I think everybody over here has faced one kind of questions, but for me it was very different. I faced almost every kind of question. I faced graphs, DP, multi-source shortest path, trees, stacks, heaps, tries, even graphs plus DP. That level of complexity was also there. Then I even had design plus trees, something like that. Quick sort, even there was some twist in quick sort. So I have faced almost a lot of variety of questions. So it was a very good experience for me. And I believe it's not like you should be preparing one technology, I mean, one type of questions more than the other. It's more of like, I believe it's not like an interview for a company. It's more of like interview by a person. So that person can ask you anything that he or she, find best to test anyone. So it's like the more you prepare, the more things you know, there'll be more probability you'll be able to clear it. So I even had the same situation because I kind of like faced all variety of questions for my case. So I take it as practice all kind of technologies that are there. It's not like if you're not good at something, you cannot be. You can be if you do put in efforts, you're determined to do that. So and it will eventually increase the probability of you performing good, and when you're prepared, you will even be able to perform it calm and in a cool way in the interview.
How many rounds you had?
Last time it was 1 screening round and then 5 on-site rounds, and this time there was no screening round and direct on-site rounds. Five
rounds. And ordinary in each round they ask you 2 questions, 1 question.
Sometimes it's 2, but mostly it's 1, or there can be like some complexities that they add or anything that they ask upon the same question. But for me, I think mostly it was 1 question. Yeah.
And you had to what Aditya said is pretty extraordinary, because he said that okay, he was stuck and he required a hint. Generally what we think, Google has to be perfect. You have to crack everything. That's a great experience to share that. Okay, so did you have to give the working codes in each and every round?
I think last time I was not able to give for one of the rounds,
right.
Which kind of like had a red flag, to be honest, and that's why hiring committee asked me for 2 more tests round. Something like that was there, and I was not able to perform in one of the rounds good, so it happened that way. But this time I was able to give working codes for all the 4 rounds. I think it's 4 DSA rounds and 1 Googliness round. So in all the 4 rounds, I was able to give, working code. But yeah, in one of the rounds, there was some hints that I took. But I think that is fine. It's more of like how confident and how much you believe that you'll be able to solve the problem. And they're just trying to check your problem solving capabilities more, other than if you're able to get the right solution in the end. But yeah, it matters that how well you perform in that. Yeah.
Right. All right. Let me quickly answer Premang's question. He's asking whether I need competitive programming. I think at S30, what we are doing or whatever we are doing is good enough. It's not very different from what kind of competitive programming. I still don't, after 3 years, I still don't understand what is actually different in competitive programming than preparing for the interviews with the lead code. Anybody, Raman, you have been in India, so did you do competitive programming? No.
Honestly, no. Like, everybody around me was doing, but I never did that.
That's why you are in Google and they are not. Sahil didn't do. Sahil was in India. He was not doing any competitive. Akshit also, you didn't do any competitive programming.
I used to do this top coder and CodeShare stuff before, but I got to know I'm not good at it, so I stopped doing it.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it's basically what it's at. If you are doing lead code, that is.
It's just, yeah, it's just more elaborate problems. That's it.
Right. All right. Let me take more questions. Any other companies asked from OS, as Aditya said? Any OS rounds in Google? No.
There can be actually. My friend was asked OS questions. They had like 15-20 minutes left, and the interview didn't had any more problem solving questions for him. So they went into OS stuff, and that cost him the job.
All right. Awesome. All right. This is the next question is very interesting. That is by Ravi, and he says that, okay, why did you join Google? And would you suggest that others join Google as well? Or what I want to ask, because you had multiple offers. Akshit had, Sahaj also had, Raman. All you guys had on extraordinary offers, and some of you went to other companies. Raman worked with Apple. Akshit was working with Amazon. Why did you choose Google? Is it the compensation or other things?
That's a difficult question to answer. And there are many aspects that you look into. I think that people coming out of university don't have to look into these things. Like, there are multiple things, kind of projects you'll be working on. What is the financial aspect of it? Where will you be working on? How you are thinking about next 2 years or 3 years? What will be the promotion growth for you in next 2-3 years? I mean, these things really matter when you actually, let's say, have an experience of, let's say, a couple of years, and you're trying again in some other company. But if you're coming out of like, say, university, and it's like a fresh fresh job, and it's like a new grad job, I think people usually go with the brand name because of the impact that it have on you. Because once you have Google or Meta or Apple, let's say, in your resume or on your LinkedIn, you will instantly see a change that people will start coming to you to actually interview for them.
Right.
So that is, I mean, these are two different things, completely two different things, because one is the new grad thing, just coming out straight out of the college and going into the company because you don't know anything. And second is you look at like 10 different things when you have experience and go into a different job, let's say at Google or Meta.
All right, awesome. To-dos and not to-dos for team matching. Brandon, you had least amount of experience among the students. So how did the team matching round go for you? What were your suggestions?
Okay, so I had like 4 to 5 team matching calls. I had 2 in the first week. I had it. Prepare with questions for the first call. I did not prepare like any questions to ask about the team. Like, I just kind of went in hoping like it'll be just like a conversation, which it was, but like the questions I asked weren't really like interesting. I couldn't really find much about the team. Though those teams were something that I enjoyed that I would do. Because guys, I didn't like one of my 2 offers. I had Salesforce before this, and so like it's literally Google. So I was like, any team I had, I just said, yeah, I want to work for this team, right? Like that's what I was doing. So, so because of that, I told my coordinator, oh yeah, I'd love working for this team, and so I'm not sure how it is if so. When you go to team matching, you actually talk to a coordinator and they will schedule your team match calls. And so if you say you like this team and the other team say they like you, then you would be matched. So given that I had like 4, 5 team matching calls, I'm not sure if my first 4 was pretty bad. But so with that said, come in with good questions about the team. Someone like me, I didn't know a lot. So some things that are worth asking is like, where is like the project? What's the project state in right now? What any deadlines, expectations? Some generic questions that you should ask. Well, I didn't think they were like good questions before, so that's what I'm saying right now. Those are some things that you should ask in your team matching.
Got it. Awesome.
Yeah.
Aditya, your team matching, how was it?
So what happened with me is like I had a there was a time crunch. So I had another offer and I had to like reject that offer because I was accepting Google, and say what they did is like they just gave me an offer, and I think there will be a team matching round right now, like 60 days before I joined Google. So not yet like I have not yet like interviewed with any manager or something, but yeah, they gave me an offer because I had a really like very, very good time crunch. So they just gave me an offer, and I went through no team matching round. Yep.
So
Until now.
Yeah.
But
So-
now they'll give me. Yep.
Right. We have a lot of Googlers also. So if you're looking for,
Yeah, I know. I have connected with some of them, Sehaj and Brandon as well, and other people as well. So
Right.
I think I'll take those people's help, and I'll try to find a good team.
Yeah, Brandon, you are in which team in Google?
Oh, what was that?
Which team in Google are you in?
Oh, I'm in. It's called the One Search Android team. I work on Pixel phones.
Got it.
I work on the search part. Like
Oh,
when
you're
you
working
search on
on
your
it.
phone. Yeah.
Saj, what about your team matching round?
So I had a few, like 3 or 4 rounds for team matching, and so my precious advice will be, make sure you like the work. Like I was in a rush to get an offer, and everyone around me were like, just enter Google and then you will see enter.
Yeah.
And
Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, and at one point I was matched with a team that works on GitHub in C, and they themselves don't use GitHub. For them, they push the code using emails, right? And I was like literally going to say yes to that team, and thank God they rejected me. They like had some like funding issues, like they couldn't have me. And now I'm grateful because now I have a new team, right? And I see the level of work I'm doing, and I was just wondering if I would have ended up in that team, I would be like, where am I stuck? So don't rush it. Just because the other team likes you, just make sure you love the work. You can directly ask the manager, what will you be working on? For my team matching, I wrote, I want to work on multiple complex problems, right? And although my team is Android partner engineering, so it has something to do with as Samsung and other companies approving their Android builds and everything. I personally work on multiple projects that cover front end, back end, testing, everything. Like other than machine learning, if there is anything in computer science, I have a project for that. So I'm like feeling lucky that I didn't rush on it, or lucky that he didn't have the budget to hire me. Just make sure you can directly ask the team what specific work I will be doing.
Got it.
She wrote, like I received a message that this person, you will be handling multiple projects, small projects that will have different type of stacks and interacting with different teams. Like I was like, I'm interested in that. She was confused why, but yeah. And like you can directly ask her, ask what the team does, how many members there are, like
Yep.
and like where they are located and everything. Like you don't want to be stuck in an office when everyone else is in New York. That is also happening right now.
Got it. So it's
Right.
not everything. It's great that Brandon also shared this, and Saj also said that okay, if you have a Google offer, then you are in a rush to accept that offer. So take things a little bit slowly. All right. Our next problem is Prakash's problem, and he says, when did you guys feel prepared for Google? Aditya, when did you feel that okay, this is the right time, I can go and interview with Google right now?
I can tell you one thing. Everyone around me was like, I don't think you are prepared for Google, and you should not do it. Who like everyone who was seeing my journey throughout, they all were like, we don't think you are prepared for Google. And I was like, let's give it a try. So they were like, if you get rejected, you will get blocked for a year or 3 years or 5 years based on your performance. And I was like, let's give it a try. But what happened with me is I was in the like third month of S30 when I got a Google interview, and I was like, let's continue S30 as well as start preparing for by myself. So for like 1.5 months, I used to prepare for 12 hours a day continuously. And I was like preparing so bad that I solved all the Google problems, that all that they have in their library. I just shared it on chat so that everyone can find it. So I just shared it on chat. There are like problems. First 15-20 problems, you'll find it very easy. But after that, they are very tough, like 60, there are 60-65 more. They're really tough. I solved all the problems. And I was like, let's give it a try. And I know stuff. I know that I don't know everything, but I knew that I know stuff because I was able to solve problems when I was trying to look at them. And I was at least like, I was following the approach that they are following.
Right.
And it was not about like, how am I able to like code I am able to code the like optimal approach, but I was trying to land up on a like approach that was not very brute force and not very optimal. And I'm like, at least I'm solving the problem. But like after that, once my interview was scheduled, I was like preparing 12 hours a day every day. And I was like, I have to crack this because it's my dream. So Google was my dream from the first day. So I'm like, I have to crack this. So it was somewhere around third month of S30, and I applied. I applied in second month of S30, and third month of S30, I got an interview. So this was the time I was feeling prepared. But I would suggest like every other like S30 student, as an alumni, I'll tell something that please don't leave your cohort after 2 months. After 2 months, you'll feel like you are very prepared for the interviews and you can crack it. And I am also assured that you will be able to crack it. But for companies like Google, Facebook, Google, Meta, and Netflix and stuff, you won't be able to crack it if you like leave S30 in 2 months. So be consistent with it till the very end. The last day, I was also I am like there were only 4 people. All the students and teacher were so interactive till the very end. So please complete your cohort. Please do that, and also try to solve all other problems that are taught, like similar kind of problems that are taught in the class. So you'll be able to grab more insights of it. Yep.
Got it. What about you, Raman? When did you feel prepared for that? Okay, this is time for not only Google, but the big things, Apple, Google, and Facebook. When did you feel that, okay, this is the time that I take the plunge?
To be honest, I don't think I ever even thought in that direction that am I prepared or not. I am more of kind of person, if I have the opportunity, I just try to give my best because I have always been consistent with data structure and algorithm. Like I was an instructor in S30, even after that I continued data structures and algorithm. I never stopped. So I never say that, okay, now I'm prepared or not. I don't know what is going to happen. So for me, it's more of like, I wait for the opportunity. If I get the opportunity, I start putting more efforts. I am consistent throughout, but I just start putting more efforts, maybe some extra hours some day, something like that. And I just give it a shot. So this is how it is for me, how it goes for me, to be honest. Yeah.
All right. That's great. Before moving to Akshit, I want to ask Akshit about the system design, but before going there, Brandon, about you also, when did you feel prepared? Because you had Salesforce offer. You didn't have many offers. You had very small set of interviews, and the success rate or the strike rate is very extraordinary. But how did you get a confidence that, okay, I will be able to crack these big companies when I have not prepared for the smaller ones? I have not appeared in the smaller ones.
So yeah, there's a couple of things. So I was in the December 2020 batch. By the time that was over, it was like around April. And I was kind of prepared already, but the thing was I wasn't getting much interview calls until like the actual hiring season, which is like summer to fall. So summer is when I applied to the Google thing, and then I also applied to other companies. So I also got an interview with Bloomberg, and I did pretty good on that one. But then I just said no to the final round because I already had Google at that point. So two things. If I'm assuming that you are consistent since the cohort and afterwards, that you're studying every day. If you have a study group, that's good. Yep. If not, at least find a buddy. For me, during like the summer and fall, Karan Gajwani, if you like, he actually was my buddy. Like we were talking like back and forth about like different problems and like our interview experiences. So make sure you have a buddy at least to talk.
Yeah. Karan was your buddy from the same cohort, right?
I don't think he was in my class.
Okay, it was from. So here's a quick thing from in the general channel. You can ask about the buddies or the study group. If anybody is interested, they can join your group. This is putting you out there. Yes, Karan has joined Microsoft now. Just for information. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah, and then so I had these interviews like I knew since I cracked Salesforce before Google. I was like, oh shit, okay, I can probably do Google then, right? And I did really well on Bloomberg, so I was like, oh shit, it's rolling for me, and yeah, having that confidence, it's really good. I'm not sure if you remember. I think Raman Pre was my interview during S30, and so I was like pretty nervous in my interview, and like one of the things she told me was like, hey, yo, don't be nervous when you take an interview. Just go ahead and straight in and believe that you're gonna do fine. And I feel like I took that to every single interview, and look where I'm at now. I'm happy.
Awesome. All right, Akshay, talk about the system design. So this is a question from one of the experienced engineers that we have, Smriti. I assume that yeah, Raman, go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt. Basically, I wanted to add one more thing for Google. It's like we don't have a very long freezing period. It's just a 9 months freezing period. Even I face the same. So if you're getting an opportunity, I'll advise that never miss it, because I even myself scheduled my interview by taking more than a month's period. Like I approached recruiter in December or January, and I had my interview in February end. So just take time at that time as well. So you'll be having more than a month, which I believe is enough. And even if you will not be able to go through it, but you'll have an experience, you'll know where you are lacking, and you can work on it for the next 9 months, and even get one recruiter who'll be in touch with you. So it will be better to just give it a shot instead of procrastinating it and believing that you won't be able to do it. Yeah.
You are not going to get. You're not going to feel fully confident that 100% that okay. Never you are going to do that. Yeah. System design, Akshay. Were you asked system design for experience?
So good news for everyone. Google has stopped asking system design for L4s and L3s, and they won't take interview for L5s until you have an experience of over 7 years. So you don't have to worry about system design for Google, only for Google.
All right, only for Google. All right. How's the work-life balance for anybody who is working in Google right now? How's the work-life balance? Sahaj, I know your work-life balance is really good. I can see your from your face, but others can chip in also. How's the work-life balance in Google? Sahaj, you are working. Brandon, you are working. So you guys both can answer this.
Yeah, so I started in February, and recently the past 2 weeks, or actually just yesterday and the week before, I went to the office at 7 in the morning and left the office at 8 p.m., 9 p.m. And while I was doing this, my teammate, my manager was like, "Yeah, what the heck are you doing? Like, why are you working so hard? Like, you're just a noogler." Like, I'm like, dude, I'm trying to catch up to you guys. You guys are pinging at like 10 at night, 2 in the morning. I'm just trying to like be like you guys. So I was like, they're like, "Oh, don't worry, it's just peer pressure. Like, we don't really expect anything from you." So like, given that, guys, like, work-life balance is like pretty good. But for them, it's because of my team. We're shipping pixels, right? So like, there's deadlines that we have to meet. So sometimes there are gonna be rushes that we have to work in. So given that, their work-life balance, I can speak for myself. That's really good as an L3. But for them, like, my manager's at L6. She's like working with like teams with like Taiwan. And so for her, there's like a time shift that she has to work around. So
yeah,
I think she likes it. So it's good.
All right. Sahaj, I've heard you are killing it. That's why I'm asking about the work-life balance. I've heard great things about you from other alumni that okay, in Google you are doing not only your team, but you're handling the things of other teams also. But how's the work-life balance? Do you feel pressure that okay, you were working in S30? There was.
So
yeah.
I actually blame that. It's because of S30, I end up taking up so much task. Like now, if I go to a meeting, like I had a shared tool, like they had a similar, my manager was like, okay, go to the meeting, but please don't pick up new tasks. Like I'm at a point, like I have a discussion next week, how to plan my next quarter if I have so many projects running. but ideally it's not that much. It's us, we are used to overburdening ourselves. Like we can do it, and we'll just end up taking up work. But ideally they don't expect us to overburden ourselves. It's all right if they set a very minimum deadline for us. Like if I want, I can start work at 10 and finish at 5 easily with breaks, and there won't be any like bad reports or anything. Like they expect us to do as much as it does not affect our, like I end up sometimes pinging at 7 or asking a review at 8, and the first thing I receive is, okay, take some rest, we can do this tomorrow. So
Awesome.
they want you to have a work-life balance, and ideally I was advised to have a personal OKR as well, which I contribute 20% of my time to. Like
Right.
maybe I want to learn more about this, or I want to take this class. They are okay with that as well.
Got it.
So it's up to you how much you want to burden yourself, how much work you want to lift. It's never like, it's not. I worked in a startup as well in US for a brief period of time. There it was a peer pressure. Like if he's coming at this point, you also have to, you are expected to learn this work in parallel and everything. Here it's not like that. If you want to, it's good, but here work-life balance is what they prioritize over your output.
Got it. Awesome. All right. I want to keep the last time 10 minutes for all the students. You can unmute yourself. You can ask the questions to anybody in the panel. Any specific questions if you guys have, just unmute yourself. Just tell your name. No extraordinary introduction. Just tell your name and just ask a question. Go ahead. Anybody who has questions can unmute yourself, or neither I do have questions.
What advice would you give if you have a recruiter call or first call with any of the company?
Take your time. If you're not confident, if you think you want to take time, just take your time. Just don't go in like blindside, right? You will go in, you'll waste your time as well as their time. Just take as much time as you want, and once you commit to it, just get a date in, let's say after 3 months or after 4 months, but you will have a date to actually, like a milestone to achieve that. By this date I need to complete certain things, and no one will say that you won't get 4 months, you won't get 5 months. The recruiters are very helpful, especially for these top companies, top tech companies, any top 20 tech companies, I would say. So just take your time and be confident that whenever you want to do it, they want to hire you. You're already working somewhere, so they want to hire you. Just think about that. You have all the leverage in the world to actually schedule or work your way out into this, right?
All right. Awesome. That's a great. Take your time. Keyword. Yes. Don't go in blind. Anybody else?
Hi, I am Ravi, and this question is for Raman. So currently I am in India, and how should I approach the recruiters, because my resume is not even getting shortlisted?
I mean, the best thing I would suggest you is to connect to the recruiters through LinkedIn, I believe, because if you talk about recruiters, I mean, other than India, recruiters are very active on LinkedIn, to be honest. Even my Meta recruiter was like, instead of sending me emails, just ping me on LinkedIn. He was even more comfortable in that. So just try to reach out to as many recruiters as you can through LinkedIn. I believe this is the best way possible to connect with any of the recruiters. I mean, instead of posting or applying for applications on the career site and going through that process, I think the better way would be to connect with them on LinkedIn, I believe.
Let me add something over here. I know that you should be reaching out and networking. When you guys were there at that time, S30 referrals were not there. Now, S30 referrals, we are sending the referrals also for the good students. We will be pinging you guys as well to refer our students. So that is also, it's not as effective as we want it to be, but still it is giving us better results than blind applying on the application websites that you are going and you're submitting your application. That is the worst way of doing it. The better way is networking and pinging the people through LinkedIn and developing relationships. Actually, not only LinkedIn, that okay, you don't just ping them on LinkedIn and don't ask for the referrals at that time only. You build a connection with them. For example, right now we are building the connection with all the people over here, and just follow up with them that okay, what you do, what you don't do. Don't have an agenda of referral. Develop a relationship. Referral is a byproduct of your relationship with the people. And other than that, if it is a direct referral, because we have already built the relationship with our alumni. So if you're good, we'll just tell the alumni that can you refer them? Then people will not be taking an offense out of that, right? Because they know that, okay, we have worked with them. We know what's their potential. So use S30 referrals also very, very aggressively. I see Priya is posting day in, day out. But very less students are using those referrals. So use those referrals also very, very aggressively. It's open to India, Canada, Australia, wherever. All right, we'll refer you guys. Anybody else? Any other questions?
I'm Krishna. I have a question.
Go ahead, Krishna.
So is there anything specific that needs to be prepared other than this S30 curriculum and attending the classes, specifically for Google?
I think, yeah, Aditya mentioned that he prepared the tagged question as well. In fact, I will suggest, I am the aesthetic founder, and I will suggest, firstly, you should be consistent. You will be in a situation to handle the other problems or more problems if you have spent consistently 2-3 months at aesthetic, then you are in a situation to handle other things confidently. But having said that, after the curriculum, that's what Brandon said, that you should be consistent after it also, and you should be looking at other problems as well, so that you are keeping yourself sharp. That's my perspective as a founder. But Raman also mentioned that she has been preparing. She was an instructor. She was teaching all these things, but doesn't mean that it was enough. I myself will say it will not be enough if you're just focusing on that. Okay, I'll be doing 200 problems and we'll be done. It's everybody's this thing, but even after 3-4 months, you should keep preparing. But that you will reach that situation only if you have done 3 months, right? So keeping consistent for 3 months is very much required. Okay, anybody else? So I myself will say that. Okay.
Hi, this is Gauri. Well, I just wanted to ask, I am a master's student, and what is the great timeline to apply for full-time roles?
Sahaj and Aditya, if you can take this question. Akshit also, sorry.
I would say just
So
first year.
yeah, I would just have a question to you. Like, when did you join your master's?
For 2021.
Fall 2021. So the best time to apply for full-time jobs is for big 5 or 7 tech companies is July, somewhere around July or August, and you start applying. So what exactly happens is you get a timeline and you get an offer somewhere around December or January, and then you can join in the summer once you graduate in May, whenever, like the year. So the best time to apply is July and August for full-time. For big tech companies and for the smaller ones, you can apply somewhere around November and December, so that you land up in a job in somewhere around January, February, and they are ready to take you. So there are some companies who want you to join immediately, but the big tech companies, they just want good candidates who can join somewhere around a year, like from a year from their offer. So yeah, that's the best time to apply to these 5 or 6 companies. Yeah.
So Aditya, you said July and August if she is graduating in 2023 May. So
Next May, yeah. Next May.
Next May, she is, if a student is graduating in May 2023, then they should be applying in July or August of 2022, right?
August mid to September mid, you should have done all the big tech companies applications, because they give you a 1 year timeline.
So you should be preparing 6 months before that, sure.
Yeah, of course. Yep. So this was my case, because I have to land up, I have to get an offer, and then I'll try for smaller companies if I want. But for the big tech 5 companies, I will have one more chance, because even if I get rejected, so the timeline 6-7 months will be over, and then I can apply again, and then I can try one more time.
Yeah. So that is for fall. Sahaj, you were a spring student. How did you go about it? Somebody who is a spring student.
So I was a 1.5 year course. So like what I generally advise anyone is first year look for internship, second year look for full time. So that's the timeline. When you come to US, you start S30. By the end of the first semester, you are prepared enough that you start applying for internships that you will be eligible for after your second semester. And as soon as you're done with your internship, either you get an offer by then, or for the big companies, Amazon, Google, you start applying in during your summer break, right? Because they don't mind giving you an offer a year ahead or a few months ahead. For startups, you can start around November, December, if you have to, worst case January, February, because they won't give you an offer 8 months before you graduate, right? They will still plan a last round just 2 or 3 months before, so just to make sure you are available. But for Amazon, especially for Amazon, you start in during your summer break, so that just in case you fail, you at least have another semester to try again.
Got
So
it.
that is the best timeline.
All right. Anybody else? Any other questions? Shoot away.
Hi, I'm Shweta, and this question is for Akshit. So, since you worked in Amazon and then you tried for Google, so like, how did you find time to prepare for Google? Because we all know like Amazon's work culture is way too hectic, and how did you find time to prepare for Google in those days?
First, Amazon work culture is not hectic. I don't know how do people say this. It's totally org dependent and team dependent. It's not hectic, and you will have to sacrifice one thing or the other. I used to prepare within my time 9 to 5 as well. I used to give like a couple of hours skipping meetings and stuff. I don't advise that. I just wanted to change the company. That's why I did that. But I think if you are preparing, let's say if you are in a job and preparing, take like 2-3 months just to get the basics right. I took like 6 months to prepare everything. I will be pretty honest about this. I took like 6 months, and as I said, take your time. My recruiter reached out to me like last October, and I got the offer like a month ago, probably 15 days ago. So I took my time. Take your time, spend some time after your office hours, because you have a life after your office as well. You don't have to change job as well, right?
Got it. All right. Aditya has to leave. Aditya, please go ahead. All right, guys. In fact,
Me too.
yeah, we'll be okay. Just 5 minutes, guys. We'll be wrapping up. Next 5 minutes, we have to wrap up. Last two questions. Last two questions, everybody.
Hi, my name is Nilesh. I have like 10 years of experience. So I just wanted to know about the system design, how to prepare for system design.
That is already
Because I
answered.
already joined SDE.
Yeah. Trisha, so for Google, we'll keep the session for Google. For system design will not be required for Google.
Ping me if you have like your experienced guy and you really want to know about system design. Ping me, I'll answer your questions.
All right. Last
Thank you.
one question.
Hi, Jaspin.
Yes, Janardhan, go ahead.
Yeah, I have a question. Like, will the experience really matter while giving the interview? Like, suppose if I have an experience of 3 years, so will that experience matter to give which level we are giving the interview for, like the level 4 or level 3?
Yeah, it will. So as you said, you have an experience of 3 years. No one will consider you for your like an entry level job. They will expect you to have like come into like a mid senior or a senior position given your experience and how you perform in the interviews. But they will obviously interview for like a mid level job, not out of the college, new grad job. No.
Okay, I was always thinking that how much ever experience we have, I was thinking that the Google will always take for the entry level and then they start from there. Is that true?
No. See, I didn't join entry level, right? I have the same experience as you in the United States. I joined like a mid senior level. It's because I have like a similar experience. Yeah.
All right. Just we are done with the questions. Yeah.
Just to add one thing, it can be based on your performance as well. Like if you perform really well and you have 3 to 4 years of experience, you can be bumped to L4. But if it was like you have a 3-year experience and your performance was not up to the mark, but okay, they can have you as L3. but that is more of a compromise. I have a friend who was offered a L4, but based on his performance, they gave him an L3.
Got it.
So that can happen, but usually it happens to upgrade you. Like maybe let's say if I had a 3-year experience, but I applied for new grad because I just graduated, I could have been upgraded to L4 based on what my experience was. That usually happens.
Awesome. All right, we are done with the questions. Any of the Googlers who want to give the closing comments one by one? Any ordinary advice that we might have missed in our questions and me asking you questions? Anything that you want to tell? Brandon, let's start with you. Any closing comments for all the students? Any general advice for the interviews, basically at Google?
Oh, yeah. So this happened during my first round of interview at Google. I'm assuming that you're interviewing with a whiteboard. The person I was having an interview with saying, yes, you can use the whiteboard to interview, but remember to make sure you're fast enough so that whatever you're coding up is on the doc, not just on the whiteboard, because what is on the doc is considered hard evidence for your hiring decision. So yes, use the whiteboard, but be mindful of the time that you're given.
All right, Raman, any closing comments? Any general advices for all the students?
Yeah, I'll suggest that you just be consistent, and whenever you get the interview call, just go for it. Take your time, but don't think that you will feel confident. But just take a time, maybe a month or two, and just push yourself hard to just prepare in that period of time and give it a shot instead of just thinking in the direction that whether I'll be confident or will I be able to do it or not. Don't go in that direction. Just prepare for it, be consistent, and go for it.
Awesome. Sahaj, any closing comments?
Life hack maybe for interviews: be talkative and just don't tell it came from me. Follow-ups are the key. If you are able to solve 50% of the question, but in the start you discussed every case, every scenario, you are like at 95% marks.
Oh, that's a great advice.
If you are discussing a scenario that has an infinite loop, but you don't discuss it, it's also a flag. So discuss the question before. They want to see that if we as a employee, as a SWE, if we give you a task, are you able to investigate it or not in the interviews? So talking and follow-ups are the key for the Google interview.
Follow-ups on the question, right?
Question, cases, scenarios, they will try to give you incomplete details and they want you to explore it. For any approach, they will give you hints, but they want you to identify what are the drawbacks. If there are any, if you are able to identify it,
yep,
you are a go high.
All right, guys. I think we'll be having more questions, but I'll be happy to channelize those questions to all the alumni that you want to ask. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much, Brandon, Sahaj, and Raman, for sharing your experiences. This is a great mentorship. I can't be thankful enough. Bye, guys. Have fun. Ciao.
Thank you so much, everyone.